Good morning, YouTube. This is the KMN 1971 coming at you again with another comic book haul video. Hope you all had a good week. Sun is shining in the New England area. The return of the GOAT, Tom Brady, today at 1 o'clock. So far today, everything is good. And what better way to start off another KMN comic book haul video than with a connecting cover of Batman vs. Superman by Gabriel Dell'Otto. Now, I usually like to showcase variants, and most of the time when I buy variants, it's at a good deal, like less than half the price of what they're going for. This was not one of those cases. I ended up paying a little over $20 for each of these issues, but sometimes I don't buy variants. Well, I haven't flipped any books in over 10, 15 years, so it's not like I intend to flip these anyway. Sometimes you just buy a variant because you like the cover, and that's it. I'm not really worried about it going up in value or depreciating in value. I just think it's an awesome looking connecting cover. I'm a Batman fan, and I have things for last issues. This is the last issue of Detective Comics number 881, Scott Snyder in Jock, as well as Francesco Francavilla. I haven't read this issue yet because I've been trying to put together the whole run. I've read the first couple of parts, but obviously I have holes in this run. I wasn't reading Detective Comics for some grievous error on my part. But, and of course, 880 is a bit pricey, so I was happy to get this one at a decent price. I don't collect every Elseworld special, but this was definitely one that I was interested in. Superman Speeding Bullets, where basically Kal-El gets a Batman-esque type origin. I've also picked up recently the whole John Byrne Superman and Action Comics run out of a dollar bin. Being an 80s kid, you could not, well, you could, but it's a good chance that you were a fan of John Byrne during the 1980s, and him coming over and revamping Superman was a very big thing. So for me to be able to pick up the whole run for $1 a piece, that was just great. This is the first appearance of the Silver Banshee. I'm sorry. That was Superman issue number 17. This is Superman issue number 22. The significance of this issue is Superman kills an alternate reality General Zod and other Kryptonians to save a pocket universe. So, yes, Superman kills in this issue, in continuity. So everyone that was so upset over Man of Steel, and they probably forgot about this issue, and probably Superman 2, where Christopher Reeve kills General Zod when he's depowered. Adventures of Superman, number 465. This contains the first appearance of Hank Henshaw, who would eventually become the cyborg Superman, become a major pain in the side for Superman, Supergirl, and Hal Jordan. Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, number 226. This is the first appearance of Dawnstar, who was one of my favorite Legionnaires, especially during the Paul Levitz and Keith Giffen era on Legion of Superheroes. Amazing Spider-Man, number 239. This is the second appearance of the Hobgoblin. And once again, going back to my youth as an 80s kid, Hobgoblin, Cloak and Dagger, Black Cat, and eventually Venom were just such awesome additions to the Spider-Man universe. And those were the characters that I was really, really, really into. Here's some other early Hobgoblin appearances. And as far as collecting Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man, anything from the Silver Age all the way up to the end of the Todd McFarlane era, is just my my sweet spot for collecting Spider-Man comics. So, Amazing Spider-Man 245, and these are just a bunch of early Hobgoblin appearances that I ended up getting in an LCS sale. 249, 251, 260, 261, with an awesome Charles Vess cover on there. Just incredible. Great stuff. I also picked up a cheap run of Jonah Hex. I had the first issue, and I like Jonah Hex. I really wish DC would, pun intended, turn the reins over of Jonah Hex to someone like Garth Ennis or maybe a Brian Azzarello. I think they could do. I think they could do this character justice and bring a mainstream audience to this, back to this character. Last week I said how Shang-Chi is one of my favorite characters, one of the badasses of the Bronze Age, so to speak. And, you know, he came from that 1970s Marvel graduating class that contained Wolverine, Ghost Rider, The Punisher, the new Storm, Nightcrawler, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Shang-Chi, of course, Moon Knight. Where on the DC side, they didn't really have many lasting characters. I would have to say the big three would be Jonah Hex, well, rather in this order, Swamp Thing, Jonah Hex, and the Warlord. So, and at best, all three of those characters are basically cult favorites. So, long-winded sidetrack right there, but Jonah Hex number 2, Jonah Hex number 3, number 4, five. Something about that cover. I just dig that cover. And the last issue, number 92. Speaking of the Warlord, and last issues, Warlord number 133. At one point, I believe in the 1970s, correct me if I'm wrong, this was DC's highest selling title, their best selling title. And as you can see, it went up to issue 133, which by today's standards would be miraculous. But it had a long run. This was a very popular character. A character that, once again, I would love to see this character revamped in some way, shape, or form and see him in publication again. And this is from, Warlord number 12. I have to give a shout out to Comic Quarter 410 because I had no idea about this comic's existence. I forget which volume of Warlord this is, somewhere in the 2000s, but it's written and drawn by the Warlord's creator, Mike Grell, and this is the death of Travis Morgan, Warlord. So I thought that was pretty cool. Not high in demand or anything, but if you're a Warlord fan, I would definitely check it out. Alright. X-Men Star Trek, The Next Generation. I'm a sucker for crossovers. And I have the other X-Men Star Trek crossover where it's Mark Silvestri on the artwork, and I believe a Scott LaBelle story, which was okay. But I'm a Star Trek fan, and of course I'm an X-Men fan, so I had to pick this one up. I somehow must have missed out on this one. I didn't know this comic existed either. So Star Trek: The Next Generation and X-Men: Second Contact. And some classic X-Men covers. At least in my opinion. X-Men number 251. X-Men 234. And X-Men 159. In this issue, the X-Men end up battling Dracula. And speaking of Dracula, Doctor Strange number 60. Anytime that Doctor Strange and Dracula go head to head. I want in on that action. Which is a good segue into these last group of books. Tomb of Dracula, number 28. If you're a Tomb of Dracula fan, I would suggest heading over to Goomba's channel. He just did like a comic series spotlight on Tomb of Dracula, and I'm a huge Tomb of Dracula fan. I used to own this just about the entire run when I was younger, but unfortunately I sold it off. And anyone that collects Tomb of Dracula will tell you this is not a cheap series to collect. So anytime that you can come across them in a decent condition at a decent price, I would definitely pick them up. Does it regardless of which number it is. So Tomb of Dracula number 28, an early Blade appearance. Tomb of Dracula number 57. And Tomb of Dracula number 61. And this is close to the end of the first volume. They also came out with, I think, well, not that I think, but they came out with a black and white magazine shortly after the cancellation of Volume 1. It didn't last long. It only lasted probably about, I believe, 5, maybe 6 issues. But they're definitely all worth checking out. Conan the Barbarian, number 6. This is one of my all-time favorite runs. I hope, well, if you don't like Conan, I would suggest skipping the rest of this video for the most part, because this are all the issues that I needed for my run of Conan the Barbarian 1 through 24. That is essentially the Roy Thomas, Barry Windsor Smith run. There were a couple of reprints in there, sprinkled in, and there were also 2 Gil Kane fill-in issues. But nevertheless, I wanted those first 24 issues. So here's number 6. Probably fine minus to VG plus copy. It's only a placeholder for right now. The rest of these are probably fine to very fine condition. So Conan the Barbarian number 7. Number 8. As far as comic book franchises go, Conan is definitely a top 10. Number 9. Number 12. Number 13. Sorry about that. Number 17. That was one of the Gil Kane fill-in issues, as well as this one. Number 18. Number 19. Here's one of my all-time favorite Barry Windsor Smith covers. Number 21. Awesome. Incredible. And issue number 22, which is actually a reprint of Conan number 1. So, awesome to finally finish that outstanding run, one of those classic runs. And just a little side note, I am a big fan of crossovers. And Marvel, Dark Horse Comics, I beg you. I mean, could we please? We had Conan Drew. We've had just about every crossover imaginable. Give us Conan Warlord. Have someone like Rick Remender and Kurt Busiek write it. But by all means, please have Barry Windsor Smith and Mike Grell involved in some way, shape, or fashion. I've seen a lot of things during my tenure of collecting comics, but I have yet to see a Conan Warlord crossover. You would make money, and that's what it's about, right? Money. I would like to finish it off with this variant cover right here. I think I paid 20 to 25 for this one also. But once again, I had to have it. Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Neil Adams sketch variant. I believe it's, yes, it is Dynamic Forces. So you have the Ninja Turtles, you have Batman, you have Neil Adams, and it is a sketch variant. Never even taken it out of the bag that it was shipped to. So as you can see here, it's limited to 1,500 copies. This was a fun miniseries too. I would recommend it. But yeah, Batman, Ninja Turtles, sketch, 1,500 copies. I've never really seen this shown off on YouTube before either, so if I was anyone out there, I mean, I obviously did. I did go pick it up. I would definitely pick this bad boy up. How could you go wrong? If you like Batman, if you like the Turtles, if you like Neil Adams, if you like a comic that's a little bit on the scare side, yeah, I would pick it up. That's all I have for this week. Expect a very, let's say, Marvel Cosmic heavy haul next week. I hope you all have a good week, a quick week at work, and let's all meet back here next weekend. What do you say? Have a great one. Take it easy.